I just so appreciate you. Now, I've never done this before.
I
So,
I know, and it's super exciting. It's super exciting that you're putting yourself out there out of your comfort zone, right? I mean, because that's what life is all about, like stepping out and just having the faith that you can do it. And like, who better than to have as your first guest than me, who will make it super easy?
exactly. And I also called my favorite prayer line to let them know what I was doing and what you're doing. And so we're covered with prayer. So we're good there. So, okay, now I've already recorded the introduction from your website. So, where do we begin? Well, let me ask you this: have you been censored, or do you know anyone who's been censored? Because we are the media now.
Well, and I know we are. And it's very interesting because like I myself have never been censored. And I probably do find myself just watching what I say or what I do, sometimes a little bit on social media. I'm pretty outspoken. I know that my husband just recently told me, which I had no idea, that he had been put in Facebook jail for a couple of things that he had posted or that he had said. So I think it's one of those things that probably happens more often than people realize. Yet people are just not always getting in a conversation around it, right? So it's probably one of those questions you could just ask people and be like, hey, have you ever been censored, right? And I think sometimes for all of us, we just do some self-censoring, right? Because we know how social media can be. And if we don't want to end up in jail, maybe we're a little too cautious than we need to be.
Exactly. And then we have that little pesky First Amendment that allows some of us to be a little more aggressive in our sharings. I'm happy to report that I will be back on LinkedIn. I am a parolee now. Have to be on good behavior. It's like I have an ankle bracelet on, but I promised that I would behave, and we'll see how long that works.
Well, and I agree with you, Linda. Like the First Amendment, always gives us the opportunity, and I say that all the time, that sometimes you may not like what somebody has to say or what they're doing, but you can respect them, right? Like there's a kind of that idea, like, all right, well, I may not like you in this moment, but I'm going to respect you because that's what the First Amendment right has given us. And so many people in our country have gone to fight for us to have those freedoms. And so it starts small, right? Like that's how I find everything, no matter what it is. I mean, let's just compare it to weight, right? Like you start eating a little bit here and there too much, or you start kind of eating crummy and it's just a little bit here and there and there. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, now where did these 20 pounds come from? Right. So it,
You can also do it with spending. You spend money on a course here, money on a course there. Before you know it, your personal budget has gone. Oh my God! So I am thrilled that your focus is getting shit done. Because look at me, here we are. I mean, I wanted a podcast, and here we go.
that's right. And again, like, for me, it's all about stepping into action. I wrote a book last November and it's called Stop Waiting, Start Living. And of course, that's my premise of everything that I talk about, I teach about, and I live. Like, right? Like I'm not going to tell you to do something that I myself am not willing to do. So I walk the walk and I talk the talk. But in my book, I talk about, face the fear and do it anyway. Like we all have those moments where we question as to what are people going to think or what are people going to say and yada, yada, yada. And it's all these crazy voices in our head. And if you really realize that it's very rare that people are paying that much attention to you and you just put yourself out there and like imagine what could be possible if you just keep stepping into action.
Exactly. Now you have a TV program coming up too, don't you?
I
Tell us.
do. I do. Yes. So, depending on when people are listening to this podcast, on November 3rd, 2022, I am releasing my very first television show that will be found on Roku, Amazon, Apple, and on the internet as well. It's through a network called Zandra Network or Z's and Zebra TV. And the name of the show is also Stop Waiting, Start Living. And it's really a show that's designed to showcase individuals who have been knocked down in life over and over again, keep getting back up, show a lot of resilience, and they're living the life of their dreams, the life that they want to create. So I'm really excited about that coming out.
That's fabulous, and God knows that we could use more positivity in the world. So that is just amazing. And also, you're a very active woman. You have an event coming up in Scottsdale. Tell us more.
I know, I know. I'm really excited because here's why a lot of times I do the things that I do. I started a podcast. Well, actually, my podcast started as Facebook Live. So every week I used to do Facebook Lives for about 15 minutes. And then I moved to a podcast format, just like what you're doing. And I'm featured, on Apple, Spotify, all the major podcast things. And then I decided to do television, right? Because for me, it's about just having a bigger platform to reach more people. I really am driven to help people have more fun in their life and to truly experience life. Like, I want people to get off the hamster wheel of life because so many people leave corporate or leave a job to create a business for themselves, and they can find themselves right back on the hamster wheel. So that's the purpose behind the event that I'm doing in Scottsdale, which happens to be November 4th and 5th of this year. And I'm super excited. It's like less than 2 weeks from when we're recording this. And again, it's just really designed for you to come and experience a conference in a different way. It's going to be fun, and there's going to be collaboration, and there's going to be learning and applying, and so much in it for you, because I want people to realize that life doesn't have to always be serious in order for us to learn something. Well, there you are. Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. I just was waiting for you because I wanted to take a pause because otherwise, me, I'll just talk and talk and talk.
Okay. So I don't know what's happening to the sound here.
Yeah, your sound is a little soft, Linda. So hopefully that my loud voice is making up for it, and that people can hear me probably loud and clear. It's probably a little something on maybe, you know how technology loves to just mess with us when we're trying to do something for the first time.
Well, I think it might be time for a new computer. It might be. Okay, so no, back to the event. Now, who is your ideal client? Who are you? Who's going to be there in Scottsdale?
Well, there's going to be all kinds of different people. There's going to be, successful business owners, people who are, extremely successful, but that are looking to streamline life, right? And looking to experience life more. Because one of my favorite sayings that I always talk about is that we're human beings, not human doings. And so I think for so many of us, we have these long to-do lists and they never get done, and they chip away at our self-esteem. And we often look at what didn't get done versus what did get done. And so you'll have some business owners there. You're going to have some startups. You're just going to have individuals who are looking to learn and to really discover and experience themselves in a different way. It's all about self-discovery and finding out what matters most to you. Because even if you're an employee for working for someone else, you can really love what you do, or maybe you don't like what you do so much and you really want to fulfill your passion. And it doesn't always have to look like work. For some people, that can look like volunteering. It can be spending more time with family and friends. Like, what matters most to you? That's what I want people to get to the core of during this event, is that why are you not doing what sets your heart afire? Like, really, because if you think about the words have to, like, so many of us have to do some things. And then what's the difference between a have to and a get to? I get to do that. And even when you say those words to yourself, they resonate different in your body. So it's really about people figuring out more what they're going to get to do after the 2 days of spending with me.
That is awesome. And that's really the thrust of your coaching too, isn't it? Your one-on-one coaching.
It is. And like people come to me for all kinds of different things. They come to me for support in business, maybe support in life, but I'm a huge believer in how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're struggling with communication, say in business, there's probably points in your life where you're struggling with communication as well in your personal life. Like we are not two different people. We might think we are, like we have a work life and a family life, but bottom line is you're still the same person in both of those. So if you start working on it in one area, it's going to start to improve in another area. Like one of my clients, I was working with her for work and for business and some other things. And all of a sudden, it started to improve the relationship with her husband. And like the two went hand in hand because she was finding ways to be happier with herself within her job environment, that it just was translating to her being happier at home as well. Because trust me, I'm sure that those listening out there, or even yourself, Linda, right? Like if you have a bad day at work, it's very easy to come home and take it out on somebody else.
Exactly, exactly. We met through a coaching bundle, and I read your bio when we had our discovery call, and I thought this lady has answers that I need. And I think some of our listeners may find it interesting, if I may read a moment. As a former police officer and SWAT member, Julie knows that there is no promise of tomorrow and coaches individuals to face the fear and live in the moment. That, I think, is such a stellar piece of wisdom. What would you say to the law enforcement community and the military and the intelligence people? I mean, I would imagine a lot of them don't think that they can be coached or that they're coachable because of whatever. What would you say to them, those who were listening?
Well, that's a great question. And here's the thing, like I would love to have those conversations with individuals. I was on a podcast with Terry Oliver, my friend Terry Oliver, who has the podcast, The Courage Wolf. And he's a retired Royal Mounted Police officer, constable out of Canada. And Terry, if I got that wrong and you're listening in, I apologize. But Terry's just a great guy. And we had this conversation about how there's life after law enforcement. See, for so many individuals, and myself included, like when I was on the department, you see things sometimes very black and white, very suspicious of a lot of, things. But the one thing that law enforcement or anything in that line of work gives you is it gives you certain skill sets that are very transferable, in my opinion, into the rest of the world, right? The idea behind critical thinking, the idea of being able to make split-second decisions, great communication skills. You need to have great communication skills. There's so many things, working with people from all different walks of life, right? Like, and some people are happy that you're coming there to aid them, and some people are not so happy, right? So like you have all kinds of different personalities and temperaments. But the key is to taking that skill set and now moving it into being able to do something else. And I'm the first one to say it's not always easy. I mean, I am 21 years. I know I look good. 21 years out of law enforcement, right? If you're watching this on video, I spent 10 years, in that arena. And it took me a while to transition. Nothing happens overnight. But, I still can go back and think of the experiences and what I face day in and day out, that a lot of times I say to people, listen, I was able to face that as a law enforcement officer. Like I can support you in living a life that is true to you as well. So, and again, it doesn't happen overnight, but I'd love to have conversations with individuals that think, okay, Julie Jones, you're hooey balooey. And that's not how the real world is. So, you know, book a call with me and let's have a conversation. I'd love to.
Being on LinkedIn, so many of my connections seem to be law enforcement, military, intelligence, and a lot of other people that are just movers and shakers and concerned about our country. And so we need that critical thinking and that stability. I mean, I feel very safe on LinkedIn because I know that there are people who know what's going on there. So being censored away, I really missed everybody. So we'll have links below with your website. And if someone wants to book a call with you, do they email you or what?
Well, what we'll do is we'll put it in the link, and I have a call to action. You can go to my website, which is juliejones.biz, B-I-Z, and you're able to go ahead and just click on book a call with me, and you get free 30 minutes with me. I promise you it will not be a sales call. It's just really a call for us to get to know each other. And yeah, you had that call. And then if you decide that, hey, that Julie Jones is pretty cool and you want to work with me, well, then we can have that conversation as well. Otherwise, it's 30 minutes. Let me see, bring me your toughest problem and let's go from there. Just again, give me the opportunity to have a conversation and let's see where we can go.
That sounds absolutely amazing. Now, a couple of questions that I was thinking about asking you. I think you've already shared with us a lot of your passions and your area of expertise. How would you, the people who can't make it to Scottsdale, what would you encourage them to do? Book a call with you?
Well, book a call with me or, check me out on social media. And again, with my television show coming out in just a few weeks, you'll be able to see some of my skill set, by watching my television show, listen to me on my podcast. I truly am aware, Linda, that I am not everybody's cup of tea. They're going to see some craziness, that comes from me, but that's because I inspire people to not worry about what others think. Right. So that's the key component that makes me a little bit different. And we talked about it, but didn't go into really depth. See, the reason I'm so passionate about the Stop Waiting, Start Living is from being a law enforcement officer. That I saw that there was no promise of tomorrow, right? Because, one of the hardest things to do for anybody in that arena is have to give, a death notification that somebody's loved one isn't coming home and their future is cut short, right? So that was part of it. And then 18 years ago, my mom passed away at the early age of 59 from early onset Alzheimer's. And I saw how her and my dad had this whole future plan together, and it was cut short. And then after she passed, my dad was lost for a while. And it's just a constant reminder. We all have these reminders in our life that people who we think are going to be around forever, all of a sudden they're gone. And nobody knows when your expiration date is. And I'm here to tell you that people don't have regrets on their deathbed of what they did do. They regret what they didn't do. And that's why I want to push you out the door and say, all right, what is it today that you're going to go and do and say yes to a life opportunity that maybe in the past you would have said no to?
That is absolutely awesome. So I want our listeners to get on your mailing list for sure. And I'm still juggling litigation matters, but if I can get there, I will be there also. And gosh, what would you like to say in farewell to our listeners?
Well, a couple of things. So first of all, when it comes to fear and people sometimes, and maybe this goes with around your censorship topic as well. Sometimes people are a little fearful to say what they need to say, right? Listen, you were put on this earth with a specific message, and only you can deliver that message, whatever that message is, whatever you're passionate about. So share your message. Stop being afraid and just start sharing, because if you're not sharing, that message is going to go unheard. And we all have an important, part of us that wants to make an impact in this world. We all want to leave a legacy. We all want to know that we made a difference. And you can do that by just starting to speak your message. That's number one. And since this is going out before my event, which is November 4th and 5th in Scottsdale, as we talked about, I want to, offer the listeners like a special deal. So we'll put a link in to purchase a ticket. Right now, you can save $100 on the ticket, which is the code Live Now, LIVENOW. And then when you purchase the ticket, you'll be able to bring a friend for free. So it's 2 for the price of 1. You save $100. I'm telling you, like, you can come to a 2-day seminar for 2 people for like less than $100. That's unheard of. And you're going to get lunch as well. So like, I mean, there is such a thing as a free lunch. Okay, people. So like, you listening in, if you're saying to yourself, well, I don't have time, you are the perfect candidate to be at this event. Because if you're saying I don't have time, you need to make the time to be there, to learn how to really expand your life and experience all that it has to offer.
That's awesome. I could get there on a tank of gas, I think. All right, my dear, I'm going to check my calendar. I wish you the best of luck there. And I thank you so much for this opportunity to interview you. And we'll take it from there.
Well, oh, I'm sorry, Linda. I just wanted to say thank you. I just really, I appreciate the opportunity. Anytime I get an opportunity to be on somebody's, stage, I really do, honor that. And I'm really in so much gratitude. So thank you for having me on today.
Remember, we are the media now. Let's go.